Well, happy Friday, everybody. Hope you've had a good week and that you're looking forward to being in church to worship Jesus Sunday, as well as coming to Life Group and fellowshipping with God's people in Bible study. I want to remind you before we get to chapter 20 of Matthew that here at First Baptist, we encourage everyone to pray 3 prayers every day. Start your day this way. Pray, God, today give me an opportunity to have a gospel conversation, opportunity to invite someone to church. Pray, number 2, God, give me the courage, the boldness to speak when the opportunity presents itself. And then prayer number 3, pray for people by name who are not walking with Jesus, who do not know Jesus, who are far from Jesus. And if you haven't prayed those prayers yet, do me a favor right now, hit the pause button, the stop button on this video or this audio. Pray those prayers and then continue with the video. All right, we're in Matthew chapter 20 today. And similar to a couple of days ago, what spoke to me in this chapter is kind of the idea, the feel, the theme of the whole chapter. And for me, that comes down to 2 words, grace and pride. Grace and pride. Jesus gives this parable in the opening verses of chapter 20 about this wealthy landowner who goes out early in the morning, 6 a.m., and hires people to work in his vineyard for the day, and he'll pay them a denarius. A denarius was typically the average salary for a day's wages in their time. So, hey, go out here and work, and I'm going to pay you a fair wage. They said, great. They agreed to it, went out and worked. He went back out again about 9 a.m., which is the 3rd hour, found some more guys, sent them into the field. Goes back out at noon, finds some more guys, sends them into his vineyard. Goes out at 3 in the afternoon and hires some more guys and send them into the vineyard. Then he goes out at 5 o'clock, and sends them into the vineyard. It's about, we learn later, 6 o'clock when they quit working and they come to get paid. And the ones who went in at 5 and 3 first, man, they got paid a drop. They got paid a whole denarius, like a whole day's. And all of a sudden, those guys who started working at 6 in the morning started getting light in their step and all excited. Wow, if he's paying those who only work for 1 hour, 4 or 3 hours or 6 hours, if he's paying them a whole denarius, a whole day's wage, like we agreed to work for, he's going to be really good to us and pay us even more. This is going to be really good. And they get up there to the farmer, and it's time for them to get their paycheck, so to speak, and they get 1 denarius, same as everybody else. And they get all mad. They get all mad. Look at verses 11 and 12. When they received the denarius, they grumbled at the landowner, saying, "These last men have worked only 1 hour. And you've made them equal to us who have borne the burden and the scorching heat of the day." I mean, they were upset. I get it. You get it, don't you? I mean, we think, well, that's not fair. It's not fair. It's not right. And then the landowner, in response, says to them in verses 13 and following, he answered and said to one of them, "Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Isn't that what you agreed to work for? Have I not paid you what we agreed?" Verse 14, "Take what is yours and go. But I wish to give to this last man the same as to you. Is it not lawful? Am I breaking some law here? For me to do what I wish with what is my own? Or is your eye envious because I am generous?" Now, what is Jesus teaching here? Well, to understand what he's teaching, you have to go back to the very beginning, chapter 20, verse 1. Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like this landowner. The kingdom of heaven is like this story. In other words, whether someone is saved on their deathbed or when they're 7 years old, and that 7-year-old accepts Jesus and lives faithfully for Jesus all their life and serves Jesus faithfully all their life and even does great things for Jesus all their life, and then someone gets saved on their deathbed, guess what? They both get the same heaven. They both get the same heaven. And one is not more privileged in glory than the other. Jesus is teaching that there's no room for spiritual pride and favoritism in his kingdom. That's the reason later in this chapter you have the story of James and John, these brothers with their mother. Oh, mercy when adult men have their mother doing. She comes to Jesus with those two boys and says, hey, when we get to the kingdom of heaven, can you let my boys sit beside you, one on your left hand and one on your right? And Jesus, to use the Steve Hogg paraphrase, said, nope, it's not mine to give. And of course, what happened when the other disciples heard these two with their mom asking for that favoritism, they got upset. See, favoritism doesn't work in the family of God. Privilege doesn't work in the family of God. Arrogance, thinking you deserve, doesn't work in the kingdom of heaven. Or our attitude, if you will, our attitude should be, instead of I deserve, it should be I serve. Verse 16, Jesus said, the last shall be first and the first last. And then in verses 24 and following, after the disciples became angry at the two brothers, Jesus got them all together and said, boys, let's have a talk. And he said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles, those who are not followers of God, lord it over them and over their great men, and their great men exercise authority over them. It is not, notice, it is not this way among you. If you want to be great, be a servant. You want to be first? Be a slave. Because the Son of Man came to serve and give his life as a ransom. The kingdom of heaven, he said, is like me, not like the world. I remember more than 30 years ago, when our church was first growing, a prominent member who's now deceased and in heaven, arguing with me that we shouldn't vote on anything on Sunday morning because only the people who care enough to come out to a Wednesday night business meeting should have the right to vote on anything. Arguing with me that those who are more dedicated and so on, that their vote should count more. Said a few other things too. And I didn't agree with him, and I didn't go along with him. And he eventually got mad and left the church. But I really do think that Jesus didn't agree with him either. There are not second-class citizens in the kingdom of God. That's just the way it is, brothers and sisters. Anyway, I'll see you Sunday with a word from God. Pray those 3 prayers, invite someone to church, and I'll see you Monday as we look at Matthew chapter 21. God bless you.